What? What? What is this? Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new year and a brand new episode of Minecraft The Journey. Here with me, Bugman CX. This is the fantastic, amazing, wonderful Let's Play series where we have taken a vanilla survival world of Minecraft and we're upgrading it through all of the versions of Minecraft from the earliest versions possible, and we're upgrading them all the way through to the modern release. Right now we are playing in version beta 1.2 and we've made our way all the way through classic, through InDev and InfDev, and through alpha and now beta. We're progressing through beta, and beta 1.2 was a pretty big update for the beta period of Minecraft with a lot of new features added like blocks and items and a new mob and all sorts of things like that. We've explored quite a bit of that, but we still have a fair bit to get through before we can take the plunge into our upgrade to Minecraft beta 1.3, which I'm looking forward to, by the way. There is one feature in that version in particular that I think we've all been waiting for. No spoilers, we'll get to that when we get there. In today's episode, I would like to explore a few new features added to this version, so what do you say we just get right into it? I wanted to see if you could work out from my inventory what we're going to be having a look at today. So we've got some dirt, some wood, some cobble, some glass, and some sand, but I think more importantly we've got some wooden planks and some redstone. What can we do with this? Well, today is going to be a bit of a musically inclined episode, and I'm dreading it because I'm not very good with these things, but I'm going to have a look at them anyway. Here we have got the note block, and that was added in beta 1.2. These represent the different instruments that you can play. If you put a note block on top of any of these, you will get a different sounding musical instrument. So let's have a look. Let's craft up 5. So I'm going to have to do the click dance here to get 5 into each slot, which I'm failing at miserably. And there we go. 5. There's the note block. We can make 5 of these, so let's take each one out and we'll have a play with each one in turn, see what it's all about, see what it sounds like. And so here is where each of these blocks comes in handy, because when we place the note block on each of these different types of blocks, this will cause the note block to play its note in a different musical instrument. The dirt block represents the harp, which is the standard or default instrument if you were to place the note block on any block within the game that wasn't one of these types. If I place the note block down and punch it, it's giving off a tone. I don't know what that is because I'm not musically inclined like that, but it is playing the default tone. If I right click, I can tune the note block. There you go, all the way back to the beginning again. So with that, we should be able to make some musical tones. Let's try this out on one of these other block types. Wood blocks represent the base, and that's the same for any other type of wood block, whether it's a plank or anything similar. The cobblestone here is representing hard blocks, and I'm not sure exactly what all of the different types of hard blocks are, but I know that it's things like double slabs and stone and cobblestone and anything else that falls into that category. And this represents the bass drum. Sand-related blocks are the snare drum. And finally, glass is for click. What you probably noticed there as well is that when I tuned the note block, it puts out a little colourful note symbol, and that helps you figure out which tone is currently tuned to that note block. For example, okay, we've tuned it to whatever that is. I'm sorry, I don't know. But if we punch the block with our left click now, it'll stay at that tone, and each time the same note comes out, So it's just a handy way of us knowing exactly what's been tuned to each block. The note blocks can also be powered by redstone, so I've hooked up this little contraption here which should allow us to step on the pressure plate and make these two note blocks go off together. And it works. Whenever the note block receives power, whether it's from a torch or a pressure plate or whatever, it will play the tone, which I think is cool because we should be able to use this to make a doorbell in our house. On a completely unrelated note, I did just notice this quirk of redstone, or not really redstone, but block placement. And this is one of the fascinating things about playing the early versions of Minecraft. If I take a button such as this and place it on the side of the block, I can do that and I can power the redstone circuit and everything's fine, everything looks normal. Now if I get rid of this button and pick it up from the ground, and now look what happens if I try and place it not on the side of the block, but on the top surface of the block right in front of it. Looks fine, right? No, it's floating in midair. And now I've noticed a similar quirk when I've been working with torches. Look at that, the hitboxes on the side of the block. Sometimes when you place a torch, it places in the wrong location in the block and then it just snaps back to the proper configuration or the proper side of the block where it thinks it should be. So this is really strange. I can't interact with the block, but as soon as I right click its hitbox, it moves. Let me have a look at this with the torch and you'll see what I mean. All right, have a look at this. There's a little corner here. There's a side block and a top block with its bottom face facing downwards. Now, if I place a torch on this side here, it attaches normally on the angle just as we expect it would. But if I place the torch against this block at the top, look what happens. It doesn't place against the side at all. It places like an upright torch, but it knows that it's wrong because if we just sit here and watch this for a while, it'll eventually snap back just like it did there. It's truly weird, right? So the question is, how am I going to build a doorbell on this house? There isn't a lot of room. I can build something underneath here, and hopefully with a button on this block I should be able to power something, although redstone in these versions is a little bit different and a little bit more quirky. I think we need to go down to the beach and plan out what we're going to build for this doorbell. Well, I think the harp is probably the best instrument for this because it sort of sounds the closest to a doorbell, I think. Now, what does a doorbell even sound like? It kind of goes ding dong. So this one needs to be higher. Ding dong. Oh my gosh, that's perfect. Okay. Don't touch it. As you can see, I've got my doorbell ready. I've got the first note block and the second note block tuned and ready to go. They're hooked up to this pressure plate via this redstone wire, and if I stand on the pressure plate, the doorbell will activate. Ready? Well, that doesn't work because both of the note blocks are receiving signal at exactly the same time. I guess I could break the wire and put down another pressure plate. I mean, that works, but it's not very practical, is it? What we need to do is figure out a way of getting the note blocks hooked up to the redstone, but introducing a delay so that the first note block goes off first, then there's a delay, then there's the second note block. But how are we going to do that? Because repeaters don't exist yet. And the answer is, we just build our own repeater. Fundamentally, redstone is just about turning signals on and off again. I know, it's a lot more complicated in the more modern versions of the game, but here in its most basic form, that's pretty much what it comes down to. So here we have a pressure plate. When I stand on the pressure plate, it will activate a signal through this wire. You can see it goes off in two directions, so the signal will be passed to the note block and also to this sand block. And the sand block is where it gets interesting. On top of the sand block is this redstone torch. When you place a redstone torch on its own, the default state is that it will be powered and it will provide power. So this torch is powering this dust. But because this dust is powered, it's depowering this torch, and so there's no signal going through this wire to this note block. But when I activate this pressure plate and this is activated, it will deactivate this torch, which will deactivate this wire, which will mean that this torch can be activated. And then this wire can be activated, and then the note block can be activated. And this transfer of power here takes just a fraction of a second. In game ticks, probably 2 ticks or something like that. But it's just enough of a delay to cause this circuit to mean that this note block will get played before this note block. So, shall we try it? You could see it right there. This side of the circuit activated before this one, and if you have a look at this section of the circuit right here, you'll see the swap happen in real time. If I slow it down a bit, pressure plate activates the first circuit, the torch goes off, the other torch goes on, the other note block plays. Okay, one more time. It all happens within just a few frames, look. The first wire gets activated, which powers the block. That causes the powered torch to become unpowered. When it gets unpowered, it unpowers the redstone, and the other torch detects that it's no longer receiving a signal, and it activates, activating the other note block. But notice how the whole sequence took a little while to process, which is exactly what we need to introduce the delay. But it's still too quick for my liking. So, over here we have another circuit which does the delay twice. We've effectively got exactly the same circuit, but just with 2 of these. Effectively, this is 2 repeaters in a chain. So are we ready? First this note block, then a delay, then another delay, and then the final note block. Here we go. That was perfect to me. Perfectly timed, and if you look closely, you can see the signal passing through the circuit with those delays. So there we go, basic redstone. Even I'm learning stuff. Well, I'm certainly not the world's best redstoner, but I'm quite happy with what I've come up with here. And it is fairly compact, I think, for the period at least. What we have here is the doorbell. Unfortunately, it has to be this low. And I suppose when I put all of this back, you'll see it's basically right up next to the ground. And the reason for that is because we have to power this redstone down here, but we don't want it exposed. That would be ugly. So there's only a few options you really have there. Let me show you what's going on behind the scenes here. So if you press the button, which is up there on that log, it will power the redstone dust up here, which will depower the torch. And that depowering of the torch will then depower this wire. That goes through this block to this torch. Depowering the wire allows the torch to become powered. Powering this, going to the note block and doing the first ding. Then we have a second wire going this way through our repeater chain. Now I've added a third one here. The test one I had down there was only 2 repeaters, but I thought that 3 gave it a bit more of an authentic feel. So the signal will carry down here. It'll get flipped. It'll carry through here. It'll get flipped. And it'll carry through here, and then it will get flipped again, activating and turning on the second note block. So if I get out of here, I should be able to activate this system now, and hopefully we can see it happening in real time. Ready? Actually, I will just turn up the sounds for your benefit. Here we go. You can see the on-off loop going around as well. It's pretty exciting. This is basic electronics. So now I just have to cover this up and make it look presentable again, and that's our job done. All done, all fixed up, pretty much. I had to make a couple of compromises. I had to lower the button 1 block further even still, because it turned out that when I put this block back, I was cutting off the redstone wire, and it's just really annoying, but it does work, so I'm happy about that. And while I was here, I made some upgrades to the inside a little bit too. I decorated this area a little bit more, made use of these pictures here to make it look like there are some little cabinets going on, which I think helps because, as we know, there isn't too much we can do with decoration in the early game in beta. Through here in the living room, who needs the views, right? We said this house was all about the views. We need the big screen TV. And of course, we've got our speaker system right next to it there so that we can sit back here and listen to all those funky tunes. We've even installed a jukebox for the time when we eventually find music discs, whenever that will be. And over here, I've been playing with this weird button effect. As you can see, there are 2 buttons here in places where buttons shouldn't be, and that's because they're just visually glitched. The button is actually here, floating on the opposite side of the block, so it appears like it's on the front side of the crafting table and the chest here. But here's where it gets weird. Nothing is connected to these buttons. I mean, there's no block behind it here, nothing like that, so it doesn't power anything nor receive power or anything like that. But look what happens when I press this button. Watch the other 2 buttons. Ready? Isn't that weird? What is causing these buttons to become linked? I don't know. And I don't know if these will reset or go, you know, disappear or anything like that. I don't know yet. I'll have to wait and see. But I thought what I could do with this is I could build a light in the middle of my room here, in the middle of the living room, and we can use that weird button effect to make a kind of weird floating installation. It's going to look a little bit strange, but that's the cool thing about it. It's a unique thing you can't do in regular versions of Minecraft. So if it stays in the game, it'll look cool. If it disappears, oh well. But to do this, I'm going to have to get some glowstone because I don't have much glowstone and it's incredibly expensive. Remember, it's 9 pieces of glowstone for each glowstone that we need to reconstruct. So 6 times 9 is 54. I need to go into the nether, avoid the ghasts, and find 54 pieces of glowstone to make up this lamp here. You know, I really don't like working out here. So here's the idea. Up here we have these fences which are acting as the suspension, and from that is going to be where the light will be hanging. These dirt blocks are just a placeholder at the moment. These need to be replaced with the glowstone block. Now I need to be careful here as well because I only have a limited supply of these, and if I break them or misplace them, then I'm in a world of pain. So let me do this strategically and carefully and make sure that I don't make any mistakes. We need to get some scaffolding. I thought I would build this on camera because then you can see the interesting quirk with the buttons, and hopefully it'll work. We'll have to wait and see. All right, there's our basic light. It's fairly straightforward. Now, on the outside of this light, we're going to need these blocks placed around the edge because this is where we will actually be placing the buttons. And when you place it, obviously, like we've seen before, you need to be placing it on an upwards facing block, which is why they need to be here. But then they'll kind of move and detach from that. So let's get rid of these on the edge since we don't need them. And we'll just put that back for my convenience at the moment. All right, I think we're ready to go. Let me just craft up a whole bunch of buttons. Oh, I learned this trick where you can press the left click and the right click together and get the stack really quickly. So that's been really helpful. All right, let's give this a try. Okay, on the upwards facing block. Ready? Perfect, perfect, almost perfect. Now I need to get around here. I don't think it matters too much that those are on the edge. But they are a little bit off, aren't they? Because it's only this one side that seems to be placed on that side of the block. And I have noticed this, that it seems to be orientationally based. It doesn't always work in all directions, but what happens if we... Because I have seen some cases where the button will snap to a different location if it's pressed. Those did it. Look, they went on the other side now. And these. Interesting. Okay, so we need to get rid of... Where are they? Where's the actual button? It's so weird. I want them to be evenly spaced. I'm hoping to get them all like this, but if I don't, I guess I can live with it, right? Let's clear those again. One more try. Looks like on this side of the lamp, we're not going to be able to get the effect we're after, but I'm not going to play with it too much. I'm going to break all of these blocks around the bottom now, and then we'll take a closer look at it. And there we are, the mystery space lamp, which has got these little things that are orbiting it. I think it looks unusual. You know, it's something Minecrafty that you don't really see. I'm a bit disappointed about this side, but you know, I am abusing a quirk here. I am abusing a bug, so I can only make do with what the game will let me do. But hey, that looks weird and interesting, right? It definitely makes you look twice at it to try and figure out what's going on. But that's all we have. Ooh, the button's coming into view. Oh. Hey, that's weird. Hang on. Why are they on the side now? Have they moved? Those moved. Why did they move? I'm going to have to do the work to make the adjustments to see if I can make that look right without ever having to touch it again so that it will never ever change. But that's all we have time for in today's episode. If you enjoyed yourself, then please feel free to leave a like and leave a comment and subscribe if you haven't already. By the way, we just reached the huge milestone of 1,000 subscribers, so if you haven't checked out the 1,000 subscriber special yet, please do. It's a collection of my bloopers from the beginning of this series all the way through to the latest version or the latest episode, and it's a bit of fun, so please do enjoy that. And of course, if you want to join Patreon, you can. There are links down below, and there is a link to the Discord. So thank you everybody, thank you, and I will see you in the next episode. But until then, this has been BugmanCX. You've been watching Minecraft The Journey. I'm jumping on a cake.